अकरोध परमानंद नित्यानंद राय। अकरोध परमानंद नित्यानंद राय। अभिमान शून्य निताय नगरे बेड़ा। अभिमान शून्य निताय नगरे बेड़ा। अधम पतित जीवे द्वारे द्वारे गिया। अधम पतित जीवे द्वारे द्वारे गिया। हरि नाम महामंत्र दिन बिलाइया। हरि नाम महामंत्र दिन बिलाइया। जारे देखे तारे कहे दंते तृण धरी। जारे देखे तारे कहे दंते तृण धरी। अमारे किनियालह बल गौर हरि। अमारे किनियालह बल गौर हरि। एत बोली नित्यानंद भूमि गाड़ी जाए। एत बोली नित्यानंद भूमि गाड़ी जाए। सोनार पर्वत है न धूले ते लोटा। सोनार पर्वत है न धूले ते लोटा। है न अवतारे जा रति ना जन्मिला। है न अवतारे जा रति ना जन्मिला। लोचन बोले से ही पापी एल आर गेलो। लोचन बोले से ही पापी एल आर गेलो। अकरोध परमानंद नित्यानंद राय। अकरोध परमानंद नित्यानंद राय. So if we can read the translation real quickly, then we'll move on to Bhagavad-Gita. Okay. Translation. The noble Lord Nithyananda is never angry, for he is the personification of supreme transcendental bliss. Devoid of any concept of false ego, Nitai wanders about the town, going from door to door in the residences of the most fallen and wretched souls. He freely distributes the gift of the Harinam Mahamantra. He exclaims to whomever he sees while holding straw between his teeth, "Please purchase me by worshipping Gaura Hari." Saying thus, Nithyananda Prabhu rolls about on the ground, appearing like a golden mountain tumbling in the dust. Lochan Das Thakur says, whoever has not experienced the awakening of affection for such an avatar as this, that sinful person simply comes and goes uselessly in the cycle of repeated birth and death. So tomorrow is Lord Nithyananda's appearance day, and today Vara Dwadashi. So we will mainly have our Bhagavad-Gita discussion, and then we will talk about Lord Nithyananda. So there will be like two-part to our discussion today. First, we will discuss our Bhagavad-Gita verse, and then we will, time permits, we'll go on to Lord Nithyananda's tattva and pastimes a little bit. So before we begin, we will start with Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapad Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshakarine Jaya Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. So thank you all for joining again and giving me this opportunity to read from Srimad Bhagavad-Gita and discuss some wonderful points. Very grateful for this opportunity. Thank you so much. So we have thus far discussed Bhagavad-Gita up to chapter 3, text number 9, where Lord Krishna told Arjuna to perform his prescribed duty for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu. And by doing so, he will be freed from the cycle of karma, basically. So today we will continue from chapter 3, text 14. So just to connect between those two verses after, I wish I could share my screen, but Gopal Prabhu, if you can pull up Bhagavad-Gita chapter 3, just the translations.
Just the translations?
Yes, just the translations of chapter 3, yes. Yeah. So after text 9. Yeah. So in the chapter 9, Lord Krishna says that work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction. And in that way, you will always remain free from bondage. So, but now, after that statement, Arjuna could come to the conclusion that all he has to do is to perform yagyas and work done to please Lord Vishnu. But so then to elaborate on the path of sacrifice, Lord Krishna continues on to say that how these yagyas came about and what is the purpose of yagyas, and by doing yagyas, what we will achieve. So in text 10, Lord Krishna says, in the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods, along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, be thou happy by this yagya or sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation. Then, this performance of yagya has been going on since the beginning of creation, and this is the right way of gaining happiness and gaining prosperity. So then the Lord continues to say that the demigods being pleased by text 11, by sacrifices, The demigods being pleased by sacrifices will also please you, and thus, by cooperation between men and demigods, prosperity will reign for all. And then text 12 says, is a very important verse for us to all know, that in charge of the various necessities of life, the demigods being satisfied by the performance of yajna will supply all necessities to you. But he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. So just like we have all our utilities that we pay for, all the taxes that we pay for the government to provide us wonderful infrastructure, like the roads and hospitals and schools and so on and so forth. So same way in the universal government, the bills have to be paid, and the bills have to be paid in the form of performance of sacrifice. So this is what the Lord is saying, that like if you are just like, if you go to a shop and buy and without paying the price, if you just pick an item and come out, then you are shoplifting, you are punishable. But if it happens to us all the time in the pharmacies nowadays, like people come and take stuff from our shelves. A lot of shoplifting is happening nowadays, and the worst part is we can't even chase them or tell them, hey, what you're doing. It's such a bad situation nowadays. But anyway, the Lord is saying that when we are receiving the gifts from the demigods, we have to please them by performing sacrifice. So the text 13 is our very, very important verse. Text 13, Lord Krishna says, Yagna Shishta Asana Santo Muchante Sarvakil Vishay Bhunjate Te Tuham Papa Ye Pachante Atma Karana. So this is a very, very key verse where the Lord says that the devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. So our bhoga offering that we do, that frees us from every reaction that is going on in the process of making that food. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin. So this is a very strong statement, and we must all take it very seriously, that whatever we may eat, it needs to be first offered. Otherwise, we are binding ourselves into the cycle of birth and death and eating only sin. Basically, it says you are eating only sin. So when you are eating sin, then we will become sinful eventually. So this is a very, very key verse. So not only vegetarian food is prescribed for human beings, but even if one is eating vegetarian food which is not offered to the Lord first, then he is liable for the reactions that come in eating that kind of food. So offering food and eating only prasadam is very, very important. It's like, all of us are practicing devotees, and we don't need to emphasize it in this forum. But if somebody is new, this is the first step we can take to practice Krishna consciousness. Along with chanting Hare Krishna at home, if we start to offer our food to Krishna, to the picture of Krishna, to the deity of Krishna, whatever we may have, it doesn't matter. But if we start this simple process of cooking everything for the pleasure of Krishna and offering it, and then accepting the same thing as prasadam, this simple process of offering food will transform our lives. And, our consciousness and our life will completely go in a positive direction if we start doing that. So I'm not sure if, I can't see all of you right now, but if any new participant is here, please take this from Bhagavad-Gita and start offering food daily and what kind of food you can offer, we can discuss later. But basically, any vegetarian food without onion, garlic, we can offer it to Krishna, and which is not eaten first, like clean food, and then offer it to the Lord, and then partake as prasadam. So in that act of gratitude, we start connecting with the Lord, and with that connection, our Krishna consciousness will progress. So that is that brings us to our today's verse, text number 14. So Gopal Prabhu, if you can, yeah. So I will just chant Sanskrit and then we'll read the translation purport. It's a very nice purport, long purport, but we should, I will read little by little. So the verse is as follows. Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyadanna sambhavaha yagnad bhavati parjanyo yagna karma samudbhavaha. So synonyms: annad, from grains; bhavanti, grow; bhutani, the material bodies; parjanyat, from rains; anna, of food grains; sambhavaha, production; yagnat, from the performance of sacrifice; bhavanti, becomes possible; parjanyaha, rain; yagnaha, performance of yagna; karma, prescribed duties; samudbhavaha, born of. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So translation is the Gopal Prabhu, please raise the screen so everybody can see. The devotees of the Lord, text 14, all living bodies subsist on food grains, which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yajna, sacrifice, and yajna is born of prescribed duties. So there's a long purport. So, I mean, in the interest of time, we don't want to, I mean, we can read it. It's a very wonderful purport. So let's just go ahead and read it. Purport. Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan, a great commentator on the Bhagavad-Gita, writes as follows. Ye indradi angat ayav angat ayavasthita yagnam sarveshwaram vishnum abhyarcha tat shesham ashnanti tena tad deha yatram sampadayanti te santah sarveshwarasya yagna purushasya bhakta sarva kilvisher anadi kala vivriddher atmanubhava pratibandhaker nikhile paper vimuchyante. The Supreme Lord, who is known as the Yajna Purusha, or the personal beneficiary of all sacrifices, is the master of all the demigods, who serve him as the different limbs of the body serve the whole. Demigods like Chandra, Indra, Chandra, and Varuna are appointed officers who manage material affairs, and the Vedas direct sacrifices to satisfy these demigods so that they may be pleased to supply air, light, and water sufficiently to produce food grains. When Lord, okay, so this is very interesting, right? So as we spoke before, there is like, just like we have our city government or state government and the country government, similarly, there is a universal government. The universal government makes sure that everybody is supplied with enough necessities of their lives so that they can survive. We get sunlight, we get rain, we get air, oxygen. Nobody sends us bill as to this much sunlight you have used or this much oxygen you have used. You have to pay for it. The water that we get from rivers, nobody is sending us bills, but actually everything, just like this city's water department sends a bill. Similarly, the universal government is also run under some vision and some guidance. It's not just happening automatically. So there are, every process that is happening has an in-charge person who is managing it, and we are all indebted to them. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, it says that everybody is indebted to these people, right? Deva, Rishi, Bhuta, Apta, Deva, Rishi, Bhuta, Apta, Nrinam, Pitrinam cha. So these are like, Deva means the demigods, Rishi means the sages or teachers, Nrinam, Pitrinam, Devarshi, Bhuta, Apta, the common living entities, the Swajanas, Apta means the relatives, Nrinam, all common people, and Pitrinam, forefathers, all of them, we are indebted to them because they have given us so much. But so then what is, how are we going to be able to pay back each of them? So Srila Prabhupada continues, when Lord Krishna is worshipped, the demigods who are different limbs of the Lord are also automatically worshipped. Therefore, there is no separate need to worship the demigods. For this reason, the devotees of the Lord who are in Krishna consciousness offer food to Krishna and then eat, a process which nourishes the body spiritually. By such action, not only are past sinful reactions in the body vanquished, but the body becomes immunized to all contamination of material nature. So this is one very, very important point, that as we were discussing before, that just this is the way to make our body spiritual, to offer our food and then eat only which is offered by the Krishna, which is only offered to the Lord and accept as prasadam. So this following statement is very relevant to current situation. When there is an epidemic disease, an antiseptic vaccine protects a person from the attack of such an epidemic. Similarly, food offered to Lord Vishnu and then taken by us makes us sufficiently resistant to material affection. And one who is accustomed to this practice is called a devotee of the Lord. Therefore, a person in Krishna consciousness who eats only food offered to Krishna can counteract all reactions of past material infections, which are impediments to the progress of self-realization. On the other hand, one who does not do so continues to increase the volume of sinful action, and this prepares the next body to resemble hogs and dogs, to suffer the resultant reactions of all sins. So this is this may seem to be like a strong language. Prabhupada is saying that, like, if you don't do this, you're practically going to become dogs and hogs. So, but it is very, very important. The two types of worldviews are there, right? Like, if we consider the world to be a restaurant or a hotel where you go and order and expect things that you order to come, then there's one type of worldview. And the other type of worldview is to understand the world to be like a hospital where you are given medicines and diet according to your need to make you healthy. So if people who think of the world as a restaurant and demand and try to take things for their own sense enjoyment, they have very hard time. But if we, because the material world is such a place where our plans most of the time don't work, and when they don't work, then we become frustrated and we become completely confused as to, like, what am I supposed, why am I not becoming happy? I want to be happy, but I'm not getting the happiness. Where is happiness going out of my hand? So, but the person who understands the material world to be a hospital and create a correction facility, actually, like, material world, we say Durga, Durga. So Durga is fortress or a jail where we are there to be corrected. We are there to be rectified. Or in simple or milder terms, we can say we are here to be purified. Purified of what? Purified of our material affection. So what is material affection? Material affection basically simply means that we want to enjoy separately from Krishna. Instead of Krishna to be the center, we want to be the center. We want to be the enjoyer. We want to be the master. We want to be the controller. But instead of that, if we have Krishna as the controller, Krishna as the enjoyer, Krishna as the master, and we as enjoyed, we as subservient to Krishna in love, not in suppression or not in subjugation, but out of love, if we serve, then there is a harmony. Then there is reciprocation of relationship, reciprocal relationship between the Lord and us. So that's why Srila Prabhupada is saying that this material affection of thinking ourselves to be the enjoyer, controller, and controller is the real problem. And to rectify that problem, the simple start is, one is to chant Hare Krishna, and second is to offer food to the Lord. And when we start doing that, we start connecting with the Supreme Lord in the relationship of love. So then Srila Prabhupada continues, the material world is full of contaminations, and one who is immunized by accepting prasadam of the Lord is saved from the attack, whereas one who does not do so becomes subjected to the contamination. So we know, like, a lot of temples, Jagannath Puri is especially very famous for prasadam. Like, prasadam is in Jagannath Puri is as good as Lord Jagannath, and whoever goes there is like, we must honor Jagannath Prasad. So there are so many wonderful stories about prasadam. Like, in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, we hear the pastime of Narad Muni, who was in his last life born as the son of a maid servant, and he didn't even know who his father was. But just by eating the remnants of the Bhakti Vedantas, he became a pure devotee and eventually got the spiritual form of Narad Muni. So that's the biggest example of prasadam. Another example I can say is about Sri Ramanujacharya. Ramanujacharya, after honoring prasadam, he went to a lake to wash his hands, and a fish who ate the remnant coming off of Ramanujacharya's fingers left the body of the fish and went and obtained a form of obtained a spiritual form and went back to Godhead just by eating the remnant from Ramanujacharya's hands. So prasadam has very, very significant, important role to play in our lives. And the more faith that we develop towards prasadam, and the more respect that we have for prasadam, we will become that much quickly purified. So we may not experience that quick change in ourselves so quickly because we may not be having that kind of pure faith in the prasadam. We may be eating prasadam for the sake of taste, or for the sake of, like, this dish we like and this dish we don't like. But if we accept prasadam as the mercy of the Lord, the purification will be very, very quick. And that's why we sing the prasadam prayer before taking prasadam. So that's very, very important for all of us practicing devotees, that we always say the prasadam prayers and take honor prasadam, not just eat without that kind of respect, So Srila Prabhupada continues, food grains or vegetables are factually eatables, The human being eats different kinds of food grains, vegetables, fruits, etc. And the animals eat the refuse of the food grains and vegetables, grass, plants, etc. Human beings who are accustomed to eating meat and flesh must also depend on the production of vegetation in order to eat the animals. Therefore, ultimately, we have to depend on the production of the field and not on the production of the big factories. The field production is due to sufficient rain from the sky, and such rains are controlled by demigods like Indra, sun, moon, etc. And they are all servants of the Lord. The Lord can be satisfied by sacrifices. Therefore, one who cannot perform them will find himself in scarcity. That is the law of nature. Yagna, specifically the Sankirtan Yagna prescribed for this age, must therefore be performed to save us at least from the scarcity of food supply. So this is the end of Srila Prabhupada's purport, where Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing the process of yagya that is recommended for this day and age is called Sankirtan Yagya. We are all familiar with this term. Sankirtan means to come together and glorify the Supreme Lord by chanting his holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And just by doing that, we can be rest assured that all our necessities will be taken care of. And so there are, without performing this Sankirtan Yagya, there will be many natural disasters. Our world is actually going towards that kind of disastrous situation. As we know, the global warming is happening and so many material calamities are happening. Like in the month of February, we are having 60-degree weathers, so, and then it's like the weather is like completely chaotic nowadays, and it's going to get worse and worse. Last year we had a lot of snow. This year we had hardly any snow. So it's very erratic. Either we will have too much rain or either we will have no rain. So this is all because we are the society in general, we are not going towards Krishna consciousness and performance of sacrifice. But we have also examples of devotees who went to remote villages of India, and those villages had no rain for many, many years. But then the devotees, in their enthusiasm, they just said that we will do kirtan and then we will have rain very soon. So by performing loud chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the following day itself, there came wonderful rain showers. So people of the villages became very impressed with the chanting. So this is all very practical. This is the most important point. Point is this whole process is very practical. There is nothing that we cannot apply into our lives. So that's why it's very wonderful. There is so many more examples and so many more stories we can describe about the glories of prasadam. But in the interest of time, I will stop here for the Bhagavad-Gita discussion. So if anyone has any questions or clarifications or corrections or something that I misspoke to address that, we can address that for a few minutes, and then if time permits, we can go to Lord Nithyananda's pastimes. Otherwise, we will have Lord Nithyananda's pastimes discussion tomorrow as well. So if that's okay, Gopal.
Yeah, that's fine. I just want to take a moment to announce few programs lined up, and then in the meantime, all devotees, whatever questions you have, you can collect your questions, or maybe Prabhu, you can continue with the Nityanand pastime, take like another 15-20 minutes on that, and then we take all the questions together, maybe, if that's okay.
It's up to you. I thought, yeah. So whatever you say.
Yeah, I think let's go with that.
Okay.
You can proceed with the share some pastimes, and then we'll connect back.
Okay, sure.
With questions together.
So tomorrow is Lord Nithyananda's appearance day, Nithyananda Tarodasi. That is the most auspicious date of appearance of Lord Nithyananda. So Lord Nithyananda appeared before Lord Chaitanya, about 12 years or so before Lord Chaitanya. And he appeared in the village of Ekachakra. Ekachakra Dham, it's a very small village in Bengal, West Bengal. So when Lord Nithyananda appeared, his parents' name is Hadai Pandit or Hadai Ojha and Padmavati Devi. So Padmavati Devi, so before we begin Lord Nithyananda's pastime, I would like to offer my prayers to Lord Nithyananda. Sorry,
Prabhu, you want me to share something?
No, it's okay. I just one verse and 12 names of Lord Nithyananda. If you want to share that, we can recite that before going into the pastimes of Lord Nithyananda. Nithyanandam aham naumi sarvananda karam param Harinam pradam devam avadhuta shiromani. I bow down to the Supreme Lord Nithyananda Prabhu, who is the awarder of the highest joy to all, the bestower of the holy name, and the crest jewel of all Paramahamsa mendicants. Nithyananda avadhutendu vasudha pranavallabha Janavi jivitapati Krishna prema prada prabhu Padmavati sutta shriman Sachinandana purvaja Bhavunmatto jagatrata Rakta gaura kalevara. So these are wonderful Lord Nithyananda's names. So devotees are recommended to chant these names for glorification of Lord Nithyananda. Lord Nithyananda is none other than Sri Balaram. Narottam Das Thakur sings Vrajendra Nandana Jai Sachi Sutta Hoilo Sei Balaram Hoilo Nitai. So Balaram, Vrajendra Nandan, Krishna is Lord Chaitanya, and Balaram is Lord Nithyananda. So Balaram is the first expansion of Lord Krishna, and same way Lord Nithyananda is none other than Balaram himself. So Balaram is the source of all the Vishnu incarnations, and so all the other incarnations of the Lord come from Lord Balaram. So same way, we know that there is no difference between Lord Chaitanya, Lord Krishna, and Lord Balaram, except for their color. Like Lord Krishna is Megha Varnam or Shyam Sundar, and Lord Balaram is the spring or summer cloud, white in complexion. So that Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram, basically they are same Supreme Person, but their mood is different. The mood is different in a way that just like Lord Krishna he receives the service of all the devotees, and Lord Balaram is eager to render all the services. So same way, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nithyananda is also like that. Lord Chaitanya is giving the orders to all the devotees, go door to door and preach, and Lord Nithyananda carries out that order to go door to door. And that's why we sang that song earlier, Akarodu Paramananda, which describes how wonderfully Lord Nithyananda performs these wonderful pastimes. But to begin Lord Nithyananda's pastimes, we'll go to his childhood pastimes, where Lord Nithyananda appeared in the village of Ekachakra, and his parents were Hadai Pandit and Padmavati Devi. So Nitai, as they lovingly called him, was the life and soul of his parents. Not only his parents, but all the villagers of Ekachakra were completely in love with Lord Nityananda. And because of his wonderful, kind, and loving nature, everybody was naturally attracted to him. He looked so beautiful also. And so when Lord Nityananda, when Nitai became a younger boy, about 9, 10 years old, 8 years old, he started performing dramas, wonderful dramas he would perform about various incarnations of Lord Krishna. Someday he would perform the pastimes of, uh, you know, the assembly of devatas will be there, and he would assembly of Bali Maharaj will be there, and he would come in as Vamana. Some days he would become Varahadev and perform the pastime of picking up the earth from the ocean. Someday he would perform the pastime of Lord Krishna's appearance, where he would gather all the boys in different, and some days he would perform the pastime of Lord Ram, and Lord Nityananda would play the role of Lakshman, and sometimes he would play the role of Lord Ram. That way, he had a group of friends. They would be completely absorbed in performing these dramas day and night. And every single day they would come together and perform these dramas, and all day they would be absorbed in that. And in the evening, when their parents would call their children to come home, they wouldn't want to go home. They would just want to stay with him, continue the performances of dramas. So one such performance happened when there was a war between Ram and Ravan. And so before the war, Lord Nityananda gathered the friends and made the army of monkeys. They all built the bridge across a small pond, and then walked across the pond as if they were going across the ocean. And then after crossing over, there was a battle ensued between the two parties. And in fighting with Indrajit, Lord Nityananda was playing the role of Lakshman, and Indrajit shot a Shakti weapon which made Nityananda fall unconscious, Lakshman fall unconscious. But when when Nitai fell like that, everybody was so stunned. Nobody could remember his instructions as to what to do next. They all felt like, they all felt that Nitai actually did have serious illness, or something happened to him really seriously, that he just became unconscious. Everybody forgot what was the next part. So everybody was trying to wake Nitai up, but he was not waking up. And everybody was like so confused that what to do next. Everybody was like looking at each other. They started crying. And then one wise man was passing by. He told them, so I have heard that, when you're performing some drama like that, the actors sometimes identify himself with the character, so much so that they actually experience the emotions of the character. So sometimes that kind of thing can happen. So what was the next thing that Nitai had asked you guys to do? So then they remembered, oh, he had told the boy who was playing the part of Hanuman to bring the herb and then give it to, treat Nitai with that herb. So as soon as the boy who was playing the part of Hanuman brought that herb and did the treatment, Nitai woke up as if there was nothing wrong. So then everybody was like, wow, that's amazing. So then everybody was so surprised with this wonderful activities of Lord Nityananda that they asked him, how do you know these pastimes with so much detail? And so Nitai would laugh and say, these are all my pastimes. That's how I know them all so well. So everybody just, laughed about it and moved on with their day-to-day activities. But with this kind of childhood pastimes, Lord Nityananda attracted the minds and hearts of all the villagers of Ekachakra. And everybody became so much in love with Nitai that everyone will be always asking, how is Nitai doing and what is Nitai doing? So one day such a thing happened that there was a problem in the nearby forest, that people would go to that nearby forest in Ekachakra, and then all of a sudden would they disappear. So that forest had a big snake who was eating people alive. So Nityananda told the people that, like, I'll go to that forest and find out what is happening. So everybody said, no, you cannot go there. You don't know the danger. But Nityananda insisted and went in the forest anyway. And where he went there, that big snake came out. And the snake, so Nitai said, why are you eating people alive? You cannot do that. So the snake said, I was told by Arjun to do this. Nitai said, Arjun, when did he say it so? So the snake related the story that when Pandavas were coming out of, when they came out of Varnavrata, the Lakshagriha, the house of lack that they survived and they sneaked out via the tunnel, they came and stayed in the village called Ekachakra. And they stayed in that village in a Brahmana's house. And that village had a demon in the nearby forest named Bakasura. And Bakasura was raging a lot of chaos in the village. So the villagers had made a deal with him that every month, one person from the village will bring a cartload of food and feed you, and you can eat that person along with the food. Not to create so much chaos, but do that. So, but now this month was the turn of the host of the Pandavas. And the Pandavas were living with this Brahmana family. And the Brahmana family was in anxiety as to, like, what will they do? And Kunti Maharani heard the conversation of the family. And she insisted that one of her sons will go. And Bhima was very excited because he didn't have much food for a long time. So Bhima was excitedly accept the offer to go and took the cartload of food along with him. And on the way, before he reached Bakasur, he ate up all the food. And Bakasur was in anxiety. He was waiting. He was thinking, like, what's up with these villagers? Don't they fear me anymore? Why is my food so late? So he was about to run to the village, and there he saw Bhima coming down with a cart. And then then Bakasura thought, oh, finally it's here. But then Bakasura saw that the cart is completely empty. So now he became even more enraged, and he charged towards Bhima. And Bhima lifted the cart and threw at him, which shattered into pieces, striking at Bakasura. So then the fight happened between Bhima and Bakasura. While the fight was going on, the Pandavas at home, rest of the Pandavas were becoming anxious for Bhima. So Arjun said, let's do something. So Yudhishthir, Arjun, Nakul, and Sahadev, they all started going towards where Bakasura was. And on the way, Arjun shot an arrow of Nagapash. So just like the snake would coil its prey and choke it, similarly, this arrow would also release a snake and will bind the target. So Arjun wanted to help Bhima, but by the time that arrow reached, Bakasura was already dead. But the snake that was released had no place to go. So Arjuna told him that, like, you can stay here and eat the animals in the forest. So the snake said to Lord Nityananda that I am the same snake who was shot by Arjuna, and I have been given the permission like that So that's why I'm eating people who come in the forest. So Lord Nityananda said, no, you cannot do that anymore. So the snake said, what should I do then? What am I going to do? So Lord Nityananda said, you go underground and I will put my earring in this place. And the people of the village will bring you food there, and then you will eat that food. You will not eat people anymore. So Lord Nityananda is Ananta Shesh. So the snake had to obey the orders of Ananta Shesh Nityananda and accepted that. And so that's how sometimes we see Lord Nityananda is wearing only one earring. And that's also a reason why, because he gave one earring on that snake's hole where people would come and make the offerings. So this is also like, if I'm not mistaken, this is a current event also, like, people from Ekachakra go to the forest to offer the food to that snake. So this is how wonderfully Lord Nityananda performed his childhood pastimes. And around when he was like 12 years age, a wonderful mendicant came to that village, Ekachakra, who stayed in the village for a few days. And when he was about to leave, his father, Padai Pandit, asked that sage if there is anything he can do for him. And the mendicant said, I'm okay with whatever I have. I'm okay, but I'm just a traveling sannyasi. I go from places to places and I don't have a traveling companion. If I had somebody to help me in my travels, that would be nice. Can you please send your son Nitai with me? And Harai Pandit and Padmavati, they both became so shocked that sannyasi asked him such a thing. So, but because he had given his word, Harai Pandit could not go back, and Lord Nityananda had to. Lord Nityananda performed the pastime of leaving Ekachakra with that mendicant and roamed about all different places, all different holy places of in India, from north to south, from east to west, everywhere he went. And then he went to Vrindavan. On his way, he met Madhavendra Puri, Ishwar Puri, Ramchandra Puri. So many wonderful devotees he met, and he had wonderful association with them. And in Vrindavan, he searched for Krishna. He was crying for Krishna everywhere. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? And somehow he heard a voice that Krishna is not in Vrindavan anymore. Krishna is in Navadvip. So go to Navadvip. And so from there, Lord Nityananda went to Navadvip. So I think this is a good time to pause, and we can discuss more, or wonderful pastimes of Lord Nityananda and Gauranga together. We maybe discuss tomorrow.
Thank you, Prabhu. That's so beautiful. I'm sure that everybody is surcharged with the Nityananda appearance, with these nice, beautiful stories, and thankful of Prabhuji and narrating these beautiful stories and bringing the mood of Nityananda Triyodasi coming up now. And I'll just take a few moments to announce few things along with the Nityananda Triyodasi. You might see it in the background. So we are celebrating Nityananda Triyodasi, even though it's all virtual at this time. We'll celebrate 6 p.m. onward on virtual, same Zoom where you are. And there'll be Abhishek, Kirtan, and nice, beautiful continuation of the pastime, what Prabhuji said. And tomorrow pastime will be narrated by His Grace Ramchand Prabhu. And on this auspicious day, I would like to say that just like when we have birthday of our kids or anybody's birthday, we like to give some gifts, right? So that makes that person happy. And in this case, Lord Nithyananda, as Harinam Anand Prabhu described, is none other than Lord Balram, the second incarnation of second expansion of Lord Krishna. So on his appearance day, whatever small or big, whatever we give as a gift, he will be very pleased. And if he is pleased, what else can be better than anything we do, right? So I would like to urge everybody to participate in this event, and whatever the way you want to serve Nityanand. One of the ways is just chant extra rounds, and obviously there's a fast till noon, and you can also donate some Lakshmi if you want. The donation link is right there. It's ISKCON.org. Donate right there in my background in the lower left side. So this is a wonderful event. I would like everybody to take part in there. Give me a minute. I'll just share the events also posted on our website as well. So Nithyananda Trayodasi, I already described, and you can see the nice flyer here, official flyer. And next, we have the Wednesday program as well. 1 minute. So Nithyananda, so the donation, you can see this donation link here on our website is ISKCON Bergen. Donate. I'll just post it on the Zoom chat as well. What's that? So those who want to participate in some donations, they can do the donations as well. Simple thing, Zelle, PayPal, credit card, whatever the way you want to do, you can donate that. So next, I would like to go. We also have this Wednesday program, which has been going on for a while. Even before COVID time, this time His Grace Hari Parshad Prabhu is coming. He'll be narrating the pastimes of Narottam Das Thakur. He is a great scholar in ISKCON, a part of the Sastric committee, and one of the sessions you don't want to miss. I would urge everybody to make time, join this, and we do the Bhakti Vriksha morning chanting 6 to 8. Please take advantage of tomorrow's morning chanting on Nithyananda Trayodasi. Take extra moment and make extra chanting as well on this time. And we do Bhagavad-Gita reading on daily at 12 to 12:15. You can participate on the same Zoom. Thank you, everyone. So I'll go back to Nithyananda Trayodasi's. I think if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand and we will be able to address it. And once again, remind you that Nithyananda Trayodasi's tomorrow's program on the same Zoom starting at 6 p.m. I know that we all are working, but 6 p.m. is almost the end of the day. If not, then take a little sacrifice and make your time, adjust it such that you can join at 6 p.m. and join the full program, Abhishek and Kirtan and all that. So thank you so much. I would like to go back to the questions now. Ramchit Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Wonderful class.
Hare Krishna.
Pastime narrations. I don't have any question on the Bhagavad-Gita part, but I do have on Lord Nithyananda, which you started the class with by singing the song Akuroda. Paramananda. So which means that Lord Nithyananda never gets angry. He's so merciful. And but we've also seen in one of the pastimes where he got angry on Ramachandra Khan, and he cursed him, and he wasn't happy what he did with Haridas Thakur. So how can we explain that? He never gets angry, but on this side, he never got angry when he was hit by Madai. But in this case, he got angry.
Yes, Prabhu. This is a nice question. I'm sure you know the answer, but my understanding is that when devotees are offended, Lord Nithyananda is not, then he becomes angry. He doesn't take offenses to himself personally, but if the devotees are offended, then he becomes angry. So Lord Nithyananda is the Guru Tattva, he's the origin of all gurus, and he's teaching us by example that, we don't take personal offenses, but when the offenses are committed against the devotees, that's when he gets angry.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. If any other questions, please go ahead. I think it's pretty much more like an extended family here. So don't hesitate with your questions. Harinam Anand Prabhu is our Shastric advisor as well. He's well versed in that. So he did mentor our Bhakti Bridge program in Paramas for almost 2 years. And then he got busy. So please feel free to ask questions. And Ramchandra, you want to have something else?
Yeah, actually, so I'll ask one more question, which is a very common question we face all the time, and related to today's verse. So, like we say that we should offer it to Krishna, and we should eat. This way, we don't incur any sins. But even trees and plants, they also have life. So we are killing them. And where does it say that we should not eat? Where does Krishna directly say we should not eat meat? Many times this question comes. It's usually just a challenge, but maybe for the benefit of all in the call. That and where does Krishna say we should not eat onion garlic? Maybe if you can just touch upon that.
Yes. So thank you, Prabhuji, for that question. So Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad-Gita 9th chapter, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yo Me Bhaktya Prayachati Tadam Bhakti Uparatam Ashnami Prayatatmana. So Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. If you offer me a leaf, flower, water, or fruit, I will accept it when it's offered with love. So that's direct Krishna's order about what he wants us to offer. Regarding onion, garlic, it's basically considered food in the mode of ignorance and passion. And as spiritual seekers, we try to develop mode of goodness. And as we read in the purport today, Srila Prabhupada explains, Ahar Shuddho Sattva Shuddho, that when our food is purified, then our existence becomes purified, and so on and so forth. So it is very important that we accept food which produces more goodness than the passion and ignorance. So that's my understanding about onion and garlic, why we should not eat onion garlic. I was actually a big fan of onion garlic before joining ISKCON, because before becoming a devotee. I had but by Krishna's mercy, I'm not missing them at all. So prasadam has its special effects, it will purify our consciousness, and if we have faith in it, we will make rapid spiritual advancement. So that's my understanding.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. That was a beautiful answer. I hope that everybody got some message out of it. Any other questions? Oh, some people are not able to raise hand, so maybe you can unmute yourself. It's not a big crowd, so you can unmute yourself and ask the question, Prabhu. If you are able to unmute yourself. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the wonderful lecture and your association. Nice to see you again.
Same here, Prabhu.
Yeah, one question is, what is your advice for beginners in this process of coming to vegetarianism, and why is it important? And second question is, it's a question for me. There are these, of course, we know in our sampradaya why we have to, somewhat we know, whether I realize or not, that's different thing, but we know the importance of following these specific regulatory principles about food. Similarly, there are in other cultures also, like in Jewish culture, they have certain way that they are restricted. They have similar restrictions, but different. There are similar restrictions in even in our own, I would say, what do you call, Swaminarayans, and so they follow somewhat the next level where they don't eat certain color of vegetables on certain days, because they don't eat, I think if I'm not wrong, they don't eat underground, anything grown underground and
That's
things like
Jains
that.
mainly, right?
Maybe change, yeah.
Yeah.
So I know we just follow what we understand. We are convinced to follow what we follow, and we are fine. I'm fine with that. But why those restrictions exist, and how I mean, that is as a philosophy, like they have philosophical justifications, and then these vegans where they avoid milk completely, and then even vegans we have in Krishna consciousness too, right? So how do we have to when we talk to other people who follow their ways, and they say, what, this is how we follow, and this is enough, and we will also we are also heading to the same direction. We are also trying to get the love of God. So will the love of God will be in different degrees to different faith, but they're all ultimately trying to get love of God, right?
Yes.
And again, those who follow veganism, of course, they are only looking at one aspect of it, even though they follow it, but they don't talk about love of God, but instead they just follow strict diet, which is even better than ours. But except, I would say, the food wise, but not they don't have the essence which we have. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for nice questions. The first thing about why being vegetarian is important is because, I mean, simply put, we all have to eat something to survive. There is jivo jivasya jivanam, right? Like one life form subsists on another life form. There is we cannot eat wood and rocks. We have to eat something that that nourishes us. So this is the basic principle that one life form subsists on another life form. But at the same time, developed conscious beings, we should try to do the least harm possible. So like that's why vegetarian food is like most natural for us. Like, you know, we hear this example of very like, you know, very often quoted example that, like, you know, when you try to catch a chicken would try to run away from you. But if you're picking an apple, the apple doesn't run away from you. So that's the most like, you know, often given analogy about, like, you know, vegetarian food in terms of our anatomy. Like, you know, our body is most suited or most comparable to herbivores than carnivores. Like, you know, our like we can go into the detail of the anatomy, but at the same time, we know, like, basically we don't have the jaws and the claws and this intestine. The gastric acid is not as strong. So many different things are there that makes us more compatible to vegetarian diet. So that's why we should be, like, you know, vegetarian to promote good health. It's like vegetarianism makes sense on all levels, economically, environmentally, health-wise, every aspect we may take, it makes sense. That's why we should be vegetarian. And regarding the other question is a bit complicated. I will not be able to answer it 100% because I don't know it so fully. But my understanding is that that every religion, every process has some restriction, because this is the process of tapasya, the art of sacrifice, right? You whatever, like, as we said, like, you know, we like something, but we give it up for a higher purpose. So same way, like, you know, there are restrictions in every religion which encourages the practitioner to give up some things that we normally do. This is the art of sacrifice, right? Sacrifice in Hindi we can translate as tyaga. So yagya is translated as tyaga also, right? You know, so by giving up something that you like that's the month of austerities that we sometimes do in Kartik, right? Like, you know, we don't eat sweets. So we give up something to get something spiritually elevated consciousness. So that's my understanding of, like, how different religions have that kind of different restrictions for their practitioners. And regarding the love of God from different practices is, like, that's a bit more complicated. Like, I can't speak, but as Srila Prabhupada would often say, that the essence of religion is to know God and love God. So whichever process allows you to know God and love God is a perfect process, and there is no harm in following that. So you know, no matter where, like, you know, chanting of the holy name of God doesn't restrict one to chant only one name. One can chant any name of God, and God's any name has same potencies. We are following this process because this is given directly by the Lord, which is most effective and most applicable for us. You know, so, and if anybody has a different process, they can certainly follow it. If they don't have it, they can join our process. We welcome anyone and everyone from all backgrounds. We have no restrictions. Like, you know, we don't say that, like, you know, you don't come from India, so you cannot join. We welcome everyone. So if that's how I would understand it. I hope it's okay.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rosie.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. That was a beautiful conversation, and I'm sure that some people must be enticed with more questions on this. And there is one question, in fact, from Rahul Prabhu. He's asking Prabhuji to share the experience of leaving the onion and garlic. What did it change in your life?
So I'll tell you my experience of how addicted I was for onion and garlic. I like, as Gujaratis, we make khichdi, the vagareli khichdi with tadka, like, khichdi with tadka often. And if there was no onion in the house, I would go to the market, buy onion, and then come and eat. If bhindi sabji didn't have garlic in it, I wouldn't eat that sabji for that day. That's how, extremely addicted I was. But the day the day I came to know about not eating onion garlic, I had a basket full of garlic at home, and I gave it to the maid who used to come. I was still back in India at that time, and I gave it to the maid who used to come to clean our house. And we luckily we didn't have any onions to give away, but I just gave it away. And my mom had made bhindi sabji and moong dal, which both I would only eat if it had garlic in it. But because it was offered to Krishna, I tasted something so wonderful that I never missed onion garlic from that day onwards. So offering food to Krishna gives its tastes. It gives a different flavor or taste, which is so beyond expression that, but only, as George Harrison says, the proof of the pudding is in eating. So we can only experience that if we have faith and if we apply the process. I mean, giving up onion and garlic was the easiest thing. It was, I have never even now, after that, even when I went to, I used to go to the restaurants with my friends, and before eating the Punjabi food, I would eat a plate full of onion slices with lemon and black pepper on it. But after I became so averse to onions and garlic that the smell of the onion and garlic also throws me off. By mistake, if a masala is put which has garlic powder or onion powder by mistake, I could definitely sense it and won't like to eat that anymore. So it's just a small step. It's not experience in giving up onion garlic is not an issue at all.
I hope, Rahul Prabhu, you got your answer. And I really love this answer as well. What good a thing is if you cannot offer it to Krishna. If you cannot offer, it's not worth consuming, not even worth looking at it. So I think that speaks for itself. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, who else? Jayadopti Mataji has a question. So I take a little short pause and I just realized that we have a new devotee in our group here, Sharan Prabhu. He is friend of Abhay. They go study together, and Sharan Prabhu comes from Vijayawada. So Sharan Prabhu, you want to speak up something about yourself so we can welcome you with the community? And right after that, we'll go to the question of Jayadopti Mataji.
Hi Prabhu, this is Saran. As Satish said, I am from Vijayawada, and I'm the friend of. I'm not the student. I'm not studying with Abhay, but I'm the friend of Abhay.
Welcome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Very nice. So we are very happy to have you here and join more sessions and tomorrow's celebration as well. And if there is any way we can help you, please reach Abhay. He's our really messenger. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, so Jayadopti Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
Dandavat
Krishna.
Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah.
Wonderful class, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have a question. अनियन गार्लिक का ही है। जैसे काफी जगह देखा है कि लोग आउट ऑफ इस्कॉन, मतलब इस्कॉन में नहीं, आउट ऑफ इस्कॉन people offer onion garlic food to the Lord. How can we explain them ki we should not offer onion garlic food to the Lord? And like in the verse patram pushpam phalam toyam, so does Lord accept that food which they offer with onion garlic with love and devotion?
Yeah, it's a complicated thing, because as we know, the Lord is bhavagrahi. So the Lord can give them the intelligence also in their heart to what kind of food they should offer. But at the same time, that's why the process of Krishna consciousness or bhakti is dependent on accepting a bona fide spiritual master. We have to accept the process from a guru. We cannot make our own process. So we can tell those devotees that, like, if we are really interested in pleasing the Lord, we have to follow the teachings of the Lord given by the acharyas, not make up our own teachings, right? So as I just recently switched jobs, and they said that, we don't want a person who wants to invent the wheel. We want a person who can follow the process, right? So same way, we don't want to invent our wheel on our own. There are processes given which has worked forever, like in people in the past and the present and the future. By following that process, will become successful in achieving their spiritual goals. So we want to encourage them to come to surrender to the process given by the acharyas, not try to do what others, what we want to please ourselves. But not only in ISKCON, as in Jagannath Puri, as we were saying, like Jagannath Prasad, that doesn't have any onion garlic. Any Vaishnav temple, in any Vaishnav temple or Vaishnav culture, there is no onion garlic consumption. Onion garlic, as we said before, it is basically food in the mode of passion and ignorance, which, as we know, whatever, jaisa an vaisa man, that's how we say in Hindi, right? So if we want to purify our mind, we don't want to put, if we are trying to clean a place, we don't want to bring in more dirt and clean at the same time. That doesn't make sense. So that's how we can try to explain to them, but at the same time, people will do as they want to do. Some people are stubborn, so we can explain to them, but at the same, if they are willing to accept the advice, then we can share. But if they don't want to hear, they just want to do what they want to do, then God will help them eventually.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
so much. Just to add on that, Mataji said that people offering onion garlic food with love and devotion. I just want to add one line there. If somebody loves somebody, they look for what the other person likes, not like what they like. Krishna, he does not like onion garlic. If they want to really like onion garlic to be offered, there are other forms of Krishna where they can offer anything, like Kali, they can offer anything, whatever they want to offer, and have it nicely. But Krishna in his form, he does not want to accept the tamasic, the ignorant, the mode of ignorance food. And that verse Prabhuji mentioned, Patram Pushpam Phalam, that verse is for our guidance, that we can elevate ourselves. It's right there in the middle of the Bhagavad-Gita in the chapter 9. So there is a reason for that. So that way we can answer, probably satisfy them. But as Prabhuji said, that people will do whatever they want to do. You can just explain a little bit. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Gopal Guru. That's
Anybody else? Satish Prabhu has a
Sorry
question?
to come. Sorry to take ask you one more question.
Yes, please.
Taking somebody else's chance. To you, and if you're a good cook or from your experience, right? Generally, Indian curries or our curries, or whatever sabji we make, it's like tadka and then garlic and then ginger, then some onion, glaze it, and then put some tomato and then put the sabjis, right? So, what is the order in cooking? Or what are good substitutes that we have for these? For example, when I switched, when I tried to do onion-free food, the difficulty I had is especially, having that thickness, some gravy for, that can kind of connect with, hold the other subjects together. So what is those practical substitutes?
I guess we can have that personal discussion sometime. It's like, but at the I just briefly, like hing asafoetida and red cabbage and bell peppers are a good substitute for me. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Satish Prabhu. I see your mood where it is going. So you can reach Jayadubdi Mataji. She'll give you a lot of detailed descriptions.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I learned from Madhvi Sita Mataji. Mataji can give.
There are so many devotees out there. They will all explain you very nicely all the details. Substitutes.
I'm sure it will be shared with lot of excitement.
Of course. All right, so let's go back to the. So this was a nice class on especially Prasadam and Lord Nithyananda's appearance. We are thankful of having Prabhuji and giving us your time in all this. And want to continue this mood of Lord Nithyananda appearance day tomorrow. I urge everyone to please take your time out and get ready at 6 o'clock to join. That will help to start the program in time and have everybody enjoy it fully. And if you have any other interest on this Lord Nithyananda appearance day, please feel free to send message. And most of the information, everything, including the donation link, everything is there on the website. We are excited, looking everybody to join tomorrow. I believe no other questions here at this time. So I would say that let's conclude the session today. Prabhuji, do you have anything else to add here?
No, I just want to thank all of you to give me this opportunity and for your wonderful participation. And thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So please accept my obeisances on behalf of the community. And Vanchakalpatarubhasya Kripasindhu
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hari. Happy Nithyananda Trayodasi, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. See you again tomorrow.